Right, let's move on to top 5 Premier League managers. Let's start off number 5. For me, it's Eddie Howe. I think he's got the ceiling to be a world-class manager. I think he's bordering on that. To get that Newcastle side in the Champions League, so many gaps in that squad that they shouldn't be outcompeting Chelsea's squad, Spurs' squad, yet they still did it. I think he's an unbelievable manager.
I think if you based it off last season's performance, maybe you're right. But I genuinely don't think he's in the top 5 managers. Probably just squeaks into the top 10 managers. And I think Eddie Howe will be someone that's sacked when Newcastle look to be gone. And you mentioned the 2 words world-class there. I don't think they'll ever be associated with Eddie Howe. In at number 5 for me, I've gone with Unai Emery. I do think he's one of the best managers in the league. I think he's shown that a lot in his career. I think you could argue his time at Villa was probably more impressive than what Newcastle did last season, considering what he came into and the mess that he came into. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him lift a European trophy, albeit the Conference League, and potentially get Villa into those European spots again, because he is a manager that's elite. You look at the players that is attracted to Villa as well. Tielemans, Pau Torres being another one. I can see Villa doing good things under Unai.
I've gone for Arteta 5th. I think Arteta at 5th. I think he's on trajectory to eclipse some of these positions, and if my prediction comes true and they end up winning the league, that will change. But as things stand today, an FA Cup to his name, 2 8th finishes, but an incredibly impressive season last year, building in the right direction, building a young, hungry team. I think he's currently the 5th, but that is predominantly because the managers that I'm about to say now, every single one of these 4, in my opinion, are world class.
Arsenal fans will hate you for saying that, because I think a lot of them think it's guaranteed 3rd.
Who cares
He's guaranteed.
what Arsenal fans think?
I don't either. No, but I'm just saying Twitter, a lot of them will argue about that.
But Buvey, do you not think that 5th is actually very complimentary when you think of the 4 that are ahead?
No, I think you're right. I'm not saying that.
Do we base everything off one season? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because that's what would you have said? Would anyone have put Ollie in the top 5 when he finished second?
Of course not.
Exactly.
And rightly so.
I barely put him in the top 10.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
This clip is brought to you by Super 6. This weekend, the first weekend of the Premier League, if you correctly predict 6 results in the Premier League, you get the chance to win £1 million completely for free. It's absolutely unbelievable. And you can also compete against myself, Adam, and Rory in our mini league. You can join with the club 23. It's as simple as that, 23. With every 50 people that join, Super 6 are kindly adding 10 quid, and you get the chance potentially to win £1,000 on the opening weekend of the Premier League. Make sure you join our mini league, Club 23. The link is in the description down below.
So I've gone Pochettino 4th.
I've gone Poch 4th.
I put Poch a little bit higher, but I can talk about that in a minute. I put Emery 4th. I mean, all the silverware in Europe, and what he did with Villa is incredible. So
why have you gone Poch 4th?
I've gone Poch 4th, primarily because the 3 ahead of him I think are all sensational, and I can't put him any higher, only because of who's standing in his way. I think as good as well as he did at Tottenham, that Tottenham team were at various points under Pochettino the best team in the country. And the fact that they don't have the silverware to prove that fact, we know it because we lived it. But the history books in 100 years, people won't know it. People won't know that Tottenham were over 2 calendar years. Didn't they accrue more points than anyone else over 2 consecutive calendar years?
And the League Cup 2 League Cup finals in that period, and a Champions League final that they lost.
I think Poch is unreal. I think obviously he's got to kind of prove it again because of his stint at PSG has kind of left a sour taste.
PSG
but anyone could have done that. Tuchel,
he also won the league.
Did great and then came and won the Champions League. And I think it is a bit of a basket case of a club to where you kind of go, like Ancelotti didn't do well at Everton, and you wouldn't go, he's crap now. Do you know what I mean? It's like you go, that was Everton, not Ancelotti. And I think Poch was kind of the same at Paris, and I think he'll come in, his stock will rise again. And I think at the moment he's just outside that Pep Klopp bracket. But a couple of good seasons at Chelsea, and I think he'll be firmly inside that bracket.
I agree.
And I do think he will be good at Chelsea.
Yeah, I think he's firmly 3rd right now. I think he's ahead of Ten Hag for me. I think he's ahead of Arteta for me because he's got that experience in the Premier League. He's already done it at Spurs. I don't think that Spurs side that he built, I don't think Arteta could have done that. I don't think Ten Hag could have done that, in my honest opinion. I think his ceiling, I think he's at the right club with Chelsea. There's the money there and the youth academy that's fantastic. He's by far one of the best managers in Europe.
Who have you got 3rd?
Pochettino's 3rd for me.
Oh, Pochettino 3rd.
Yeah, I think he's unbelievable.
Ten Hag's 3rd for me.
Okay.
Maybe again a little bit biased, but I genuinely believe you look at what he did with Ajax. Again, similar kind of, he got to the semi-finals with them, developed their team into a different breed. You look at his first season at Manchester United as well. A lot of people wrote Manchester United off last year. No one expected us to finish in the top 4. I think if you look at a lot of people's predictions, they all kind of said we were finishing outside of that. No one expected us to win a trophy, albeit, yes, it was the Carabao Cup. He comes in, he ticks off both of those boxes in his first season. He has the balls to make some big decisions. And I think that's what struck me the most as well. He seems like a manager in control. And maybe next summer, I'm looking at this a lot differently. But I just feel like in Ten Hag, we've got the right man that, look, I think you'll see who my top two are. But I think Ten Hag's the right man to take Manchester United into that bracket again.
See, that I agree
where
with.
we're challenging for the top trophies.
Ten Hag isn't on my list because I only had 5 and I couldn't put him on there. But I do agree with you. I think he's brilliant. And I think the fact that I would actually go as far as saying that he's pretty much got everything right at Manchester United. I just had 5 slots and Arteta had a sensational year. Pochettino had to be in there because of who he is. And the other 3 now are what I
People would think it's mental,
elite.
because of how Arsenal played and where they finished last season. But you look at what Ten Hag did in a shorter time at Manchester United. It's far more impressive.
But I think Arsenal are going to win the league, and I don't think Manchester United.
I don't think Arsenal.
And that's why.
I don't think Arsenal.
Ten Hag had a lot of money as well. Poch did what he did without money. For 2 seasons, they spent £0.
They had
he's already
no
spent
money for
400
2
million
seasons.
quid.
He did spend a bit of money.
Not much. Not
but
much.
I
Nowhere near what it needed to be.
That is, and these 3, I think, are the true definition of elite to various levels. But these are now elite level managers, and I've got Unai Emery in 3rd. I just think he's brilliant. I think he is undoubtedly the top 3 managers in the league. I'll go into a little
Has
bit.
his this is devil's advocate here. Has that affected your opinion of him?
Not really, because I think Arsenal fans, sometimes managers at certain clubs don't fit. There isn't a snug relationship, and it isn't always indicative of how good the manager is. Whatever spin you want to put on it with Emery had Arsenal 5th in the league and in a European final. He left. Arteta had that same crop of players pretty much, 8th. I think Arteta is doing very well and is improving, is learning. I think he's going to win the league this year. But Unai Emery is a better manager than him as of today. I think the trajectories are different. They're moving in a different direction.
Would Arteta do what he did with Villa when Gerrard left? No. Exactly. I don't think that's the proof's in the pudding.
Do you know when you think about the history of it, retaining that Europa League for 3 years, like
the one with Villarreal, it's crazy.
He retained that, mate. What the hell are we talking about? Of course, he's elite. Yeah. Like, when I say I put him in the top 3 and I leave out maybe Ten Hag, or I leave out maybe Arteta, even Chelsea fans, maybe because I left out Pochettino. I'm like, do you realise how massive an achievement it is to retain a European trophy?
To take Villa from where they were to where they.
Well, if the season started when he took over, Villa in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Like,
it's surreal.
Who have you got second?
Klopp. But a large part of me was very close to putting Klopp first.
You were going to say the other. You usually say that Klopp is.
You know what it was? I just think obviously Pep's now put that European Cup in his bag. Obviously won the treble and all those kind of things. And I think you look at the back, like last season wasn't great for Liverpool. I generally think Klopp is pound for pound best. But if we were doing like a rankings chart that is fluid and moves and all those kind of things, at the moment I would have him second to Pep. But I think if you were looking at someone, like if you could have asked me, can you pick a manager for Man United from 2013? Jurgen Klopp. Because he would be the guy if he did what he did at Liverpool with the resource at Manchester United, the guy would be phenomenal. I do think Jurgen Klopp pound for pound possibly the best, but I just think Pep's achievements eclipse.
I mean, I've got Guardiola. I've got Guardiola top. I just think he is, but I didn't think you thought that. Naturally, though,
pound for pound, I do think Klopp's the best, but I just do think achievements will matter.
I think it's been too many seasons now. I think I know they didn't get the signings they wanted last season, but Liverpool's drop off last season, the drop off after they won the Premier League, the drop off with Dortmund. There's too many drop offs for me. I think Pep Guardiola has never not finished 3rd or higher in the league. He's won 2 trebles, the only manager to ever do that, the first in Spanish history, the second in English football history. The records speak for themselves. 3 Champions League trophies, unbelievable. And the brand of football, he improves young players from the academy. Look at Rico Lewis coming through. And then he signs someone like Erling Haaland, gets him to a higher level than he already was at.
This is unbelievable. It sounds stupid because the achievements are there and the proof's in the pudding. But do you think Pep could do what Klopp has done? Do you think if Pep took over Liverpool when Klopp did, they'd have won the same trophies or more or less? Or
But I don't think Klopp would do what Pep's done at City, because I think the two clubs are completely different. I think Liverpool have got that passionate. He's more of a German kind of the Dortmund kind of effect, and that's why Pep was at Bayern and Barcelona. It's more of a kind of, there's something more that he wants to be on the ball and playing beautiful football, and I just think it's the identity of the football clubs. No, he played aggressive.
He was a bit more aggressive and a bit less
aggressive,
less
direct.
smoother, maybe, rock and roll, all that stuff. But it was still beautiful.
If Liverpool
if it wasn't in a Liverpool
if
shirt.
Liverpool had the setup that City have, where every level of Man City wants to play beautiful football, then maybe, but they don't. Do you know what I mean? So, but Pep Guardiola, I think he's probably top 2 managers in the history of football for me.